Hi, everybody. My name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a life and relationship coach. And this video and this program is entitled Getting the Narcissist Out of Your Head. This new program or segment on narcissistic abuse, and this is a new program on that. You can watch it as a video or as a podcast on Spotify and other streaming services, even on my website as well. I have all of my podcasts, all of my videos on my website, so you can go to my website to see them and to listen to them. I want to thank you for joining me today. I work with those who have experienced narcissistic abuse. I've been helping people with healing and guidance for over 40 years using the deep well of Bowen Family Systems theory to coach my clients into recovery, maturity, and wholeness. There are many tools we can use to get the narcissist out of our head. And actually, it's not just narcissists, to get anybody out of our head. Parents, people who've done us wrong, friends, anyone, co-workers, bosses. We want to work on getting them out of our head so that we can be free and liberated. When I work with those who have suffered from narcissistic abuse, they tell me many ways the narcissist is still in their head and still in their heart. Oftentimes they'll have residual anger, bitterness, contempt for themselves, contempt for them, and they will remain in those feelings, which only hurt them more and also causes them to stay stuck. And I give you 3 ways we can help get the narcissist out of our head in this program. There are many more, and hopefully I'll be sharing more soon. First of all, I hear, and one thing we should do, which can be of help, to stop trying to win or to get fairness or justice. And this is a very common one. Often when they work to get rid of their anger or resentment, what is underneath is this fear and unhappiness with, well, the narcissist will just be scot-free if I get rid of my bitterness, if I get rid of my anger, my frustration, my resentment of what they have done to me or shattered my life. And we don't want them off scot-free, so we will imagine that if we hold on to these negative feelings about them, that this will be a good thing. If I give up the injustice of what happened, if I give up how I was treated, then they will not be punished or suffer for my abuse and for the things that went wrong in my relationship with them. However, in fact, our anger, resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness does not harm the narcissist at all. They don't care. And often ex-bosses, parents, siblings, other people that have hurt us badly, they don't care that we feel bitter or resentment or hold on to that because we want to punish them with these negative feelings. Because it doesn't punish them at all. They don't care. This belief about getting justice or fairness keeps us enmeshed with the narcissist. We still have him or her still in us, living in our minds, and they rent space out in our brain. And this also is connected to an old holdover of issues from our family of origin, where we grew up with things not being fair, being abused, neglect, abandoned. We were helpless and dependent at that time, and we were depending on adults. And life did not happen well to us. It wasn't fair. We didn't deserve it. And so then we take it into our adult relationships, get into a narcissistic relationship, and live it all over again. We're still trying to square the ledger. Only now it's the narcissist versus the parents or siblings or other folks. My friend and now associate with my practice, Nancy Eisenman, a social worker, posted a live video entitled Fair versus Unfair on her Peace Counseling Group Facebook page. I think you would enjoy that. She does a great job with fair versus unfair in life and how we can free ourselves from that dilemma and that paradox and that conundrum of being caught. Second of all, give up your illusions. This person is your source of self. Because oftentimes when we're in a relationship with a narcissist, again, our self gets co-opted by the narcissist. And they supply a sense of self for us. It's not a healthy self. It's not a rational, reasonable self. But it is a self that we don't have. And so they do supply something for us. The narcissist uses us for supply. We also use them for supply as well. Our supply of self, a pseudo-self, immature self. And the knots in our head fit the holes in their head. And that's how that relationship has worked, even though it's miserable, horrible, and will shatter us. We tend to feel completed or balanced with this narcissist or with the narcissist, or at least it fits, or at least it's a fix for us in some ways. Even the bad seems to fit for us, and we have lots of self-doubt because our subjectivity and our objectivity is all messed up at this point, particularly in a relationship with a narcissist. And they will keep that messed upness going to their advantage. How they treat us is kind of what we deserve deep down. How they think is a better way than we think. How they feel is the right way to feel. What they do is the right thing to do. And we have doubts about that because we haven't developed a self, and we haven't self-differentiated, and we haven't found the true us. And so we borrow that from them. Painfully, we borrow that from them. They also supply our sense of self as worthless and codependent, caretaking. And they reaffirm those things about us and that self that we have, which is a very immature and unhealthy self that we have. So they complete us in a toxic, dysfunctional way, just like in our family of origins, oftentimes. So it's true they are a source of self for me, but it is illusory. It keeps our false or pseudo-self in place. I have other videos where I talk about the true self or real self and the pseudo-self. Now, I'm not blaming the victims here. I'm not blaming myself. I am saying if the relationship with the narcissist did not work for us in some unconscious way, some low self-differentiated way, we wouldn't be here. And we wouldn't be in a relationship with a narcissist. I know many of us have been victimized by a narcissist. They also complete and reinforce the broken parts of us. We borrow self from them, and we are supply for them. And thirdly, forgive yourself for what you took yourself through. What I hear often from those who have experienced narcissistic abuse is that they have narcissistic relationship regret. And it's a very powerful dynamic. How could I have been so stupid? How could I have been so duped? How could I have wasted so many years? And I remember even saying to myself, there's no one more moronic than me. I was really beating myself up for being in an unhealthy relationship. I must be defective, stupid, worthless, or broken to have entered into that relationship and to have stayed in it. And we continue to use the whip on our back because that is a fix also for us. Forgiving ourselves, and I'll explain that in a minute, forgiving ourselves can be difficult. I hear it all the time. Forgiveness and letting go of the negative feelings about your actions, your choices, your compliance, your complicity, your collusion, your codependency, and lack of self-care is a hard one to let go of. Very hard one. And this also keeps the narcissist alive in us when we don't forgive ourselves. This allows the narcissist to rent space in our minds and hearts again. We are fearful often that forgiving ourselves and stop the punishment of ourselves, then we will avoid having it happen again. If I forgave myself, then I won't learn the lesson. If I forgive myself, I will become vulnerable. So I must keep this negativity going so I won't do it again. But that is a very poor self-parenting that will only lead me into my inner child and my inner parent into another narcissistic relationship. And we internalize our own self-doubt, our mistrust, and the mistrust of others when we cannot forgive ourselves. Also, there's a fear of facing what I don't want to face or haven't been able to face. If I forgive myself, I'll have to face these things, such as I'll have to learn to grow up. I'll have to learn to trust others. I'll have to learn to trust me. All those can be quite fearful for a codependent or someone who has low self-esteem, a low self-image. That can be very frightening. So it's just better to keep the unforgiveness going. That makes more sense to me. I hope these 3 things have been helpful to you. I hope you'll follow me in my videos on YouTube, subscribe to this channel, also follow me on my podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all other streaming apps. You can type in Jerry Wise or Not How But When is the name of my podcast. We also have a workshop coming up on May 30th, which is right around the corner, 2020, for 4 hours, the first workshop I've done in many years. It'll be on Zoom. I want you to sign up at my website, and I want to thank you for watching today. Have a great day. Be wise.